I'm Ketra Thompson, and I'm a certified master hypnotist. Today we're going to be talking about what it looks like to be an emotionally healthy person and why sometimes that's not happening. Okay, before we get started, be sure to hit subscribe so you can be notified every time I post a new video. So the subconscious mind is what's driving all of our feelings and emotions and behaviors, and it is primarily formed by the time someone is 7 years old. Of course, throughout life, other things happen, and traumatic events can affect our subconscious mind, or chronic, ongoing, stressful situations, such as a toxic relationship or anything you feel like you can't quite escape from, can create a repeat pattern that affects our subconscious mind. But primarily, it's formed by the time we're 7. That's so young, and it means we didn't have any say in creating our own belief systems. So belief systems get created in that childhood mind, and they are contributed to by things like chronic neglect, or things like unstable parental guidance, a lack of a parent that's teaching you properly what should be done, what shouldn't be done, and taking the time to carefully and lovingly guide a child as they grow. Also, abandonment. If you have parents that got divorced when you were young, or a parent that was often just gone, you can have emotional abandonment and still have the parent living in the home, but that intermingles with neglect, right? But all of these issues create a belief system inside the mind of the child, a belief system that something happens and then they assign meaning to that. So later in life, this kind of upbringing can contribute to people having exaggerated responses over really small events. And these reactions, they happen automatically. So for people that have not processed all of this childhood trauma or any kind of trauma in their life, these triggers can feel almost impossible to change because they happen just in a split second. This can feel incredibly difficult when you don't want to be that way. And then on the other hand, there's people who don't even know they're being that way because they feel completely justified in their overreaction because they don't even have the self-awareness to realize how they're affecting the other person yet. Our minds remember the emotions and feelings that we attached to certain things that happened to us. We gave any event a meaning, and then that was tied to our emotions and our feelings. And so when those feelings arise in adulthood, it's like a direct link to the past. We immediately associate them with the same meaning that we gave them in the first place. So let me give you an example. I'm going to call them partner A and partner B. Partner A says something that's more of an observation. They say to partner B, "It doesn't seem like you put too much thought into planning this." Now, partner B associates this comment to a feeling of being rejected when partner B was a child, and they suffered lots of rejection and neglect. And so in a split second, they make an assumption about partner A's intentions in making this comment. So partner B now thinks that they're being rejected, and it's the same old thought pattern that has circled around inside of their head again and again. They might be having thoughts like, "I'm stupid, I'm incompetent, you think I'm worthless." And this familiar feeling and thought pattern, it just reinforces their old belief system about themselves and about the other person. When they exaggerate the negative, they actually become emotionally destructive to partner A and to the entire relationship that is supposed to be built on mutual respect. Now let's take a look at what an emotionally healthy person might do or how they might respond to that same exact situation. Partner B might say something like this: "I did overlook some things. Can you tell me more about how you're feeling about that?" This kind of response owns the reality that they may have actually overlooked some things that were their responsibility to do as part of the planning process, but doesn't take offense to it. They're owning it. So number one, they're owning the reality of the statement. Number two, they are being curious about the other person's feelings. They're asking an open question. Please tell me more about how you're feeling about this. So they're not taking offense to it, and they're being curious, and they're asking a question that is non-threatening. And number three, they're not making assumptions about the other person's feelings or intentions. And this is really important because when you've dealt with the trigger that makes that split-second assumption, now it doesn't exist anymore. And the person can just be open and curious and not making assumptions and really not taking it very personally. So in other words, it's not rigid. It's a flexible response. It's a response that says, yeah, I know I'm not perfect. I probably did make some mistakes. It's giving grace to themselves, and it's being flexible to the truth that there probably is some truth in this statement the other person made, and I'm going to own that part, that I probably could have done some things different. I'm also going to be curious about how that's making them feel so that I can comfort this person that I love, and I want them to know that I take their concerns seriously. And it's not making assumptions about the other person's intention. It's actually welcoming honest, calm communication. So to have a healthy relationship, first, you must heal your own triggers and your reactivity. Because if you're the person making a big exaggerated response towards someone's calm, normal communication, there's a problem. And you might not even be aware of it. But if your partner says you're doing it, maybe there's something to look at there. In a healed state, you're able to hear what someone else wants to say to you and not feel your own triggers or reactivity around it. There's not that pain that's just hitting you whenever they say something to you. And this is a healthy way to be, whether you're in a relationship with someone who is emotionally destructive or you're the person who's emotionally destructive. Because either way, you want the other person's communication to not hit in a painful, stabbing-like fashion inside of you. You want to be able to step back and look at the big picture and respond in a calm, collected way without taking something deeply personal. This allows you to have a peaceful inner freedom about you. And at that point, you can truly change the relationship dynamics for all the relationships in your life. But first, you have to do the healing work on yourself. And eventually, for intimate relationships to thrive, both people need to be seeking their own inner healing. But starting that process usually begins with one person making a change, healing themselves, and getting a clearer, calmer perspective. This life transformation always begins with you. Please remember to hit subscribe so you can be notified anytime I post a new video. And if you're interested in working with me one-on-one with a customized hypnotherapy package, please visit my website at ketrathompson.com. The link is also in the description, so it should be easy for you to check that out there. And until next time, curate a life by your own design.